Hello, this is John, your host on the Prepared Mind channel. Welcome back. You know, I get into grooves, right? I get into rhythms. I kind of follow something and I pay attention to it, one item over others, because I really want to see where it's going. And when it comes to communists, right, that's a gold mine of advice you don't want to ignore when it comes up. So what am I talking about? Well, our good buddy, Barack Hussein Barry Soetoro Obama, he was good buddies. He was supported not only way back when he was a kid, but I guess, you know, when he was one of those things called a presidential candidate, by the Weather Underground. Who are they? They were a bunch of radicalized communists that were actually terrorists back in the, 60s and 70s. When I talk about Antifa and saying they're going to represent a real threat, right? They represent an existential threat to civilization itself. Now, they're both a pre-shit-it's-the-fan threat and a post-shit-it's-the-fan threat, in my opinion. Where I'm coming from today specifically is an American actor named Peter Fonda. Peter Fonda decided to throw a tweet out there that a boy should be kidnapped and given to pedophiles. You know, what makes it somewhat worse is it's a kind of a veiled political threat, because the boy in question was Barron Trump. That's right, the president's son. I don't remember any celebrities threatening Obama's children. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me for this to be happening, except as an indicator of the absolute lunacy of people who have that part of their brain broke that makes them want to be an entitlement-minded socialist. So Peter Fonda comes from a celebrated line of communists. The nickname Hanoi Jane was attributed to Jane Fonda. I believe that's his sister. And she supported the communists during the Vietnamese War. Right? Men died because of her. Anyways, yeah, Jane Fonda, that cupcake. Right? So here we've got Peter Fonda. 2 generations later, literally 2 fucking generations later, saying that Barron should be kidnapped, calling for it, and that he should be caged and given to pedophiles. So, what is his thinking? That because he doesn't like the political position of someone else, that another human being should be taken as a captive and sexually abused in a horrifying manner, and this other person's a child. When I say communists are dangerous, folks, I fucking mean it. It is not a light warning. It's not just a joke, right? And you guys probably know better. I'm pretty disgusted. I don't think this is a new low, but it's an affirmation of the lowest of lows, especially considering, you know, Peter Fonda, celebrity, hasn't made a film in forever. In fact, the last one I can think he was in was Cannonball Run, but it's not like I'm a Peter Fonda fan. So Peter Fonda, right, he makes these comments. He's representing Hollywood, in a manner of speaking, and he's representing the political left. The Democrats, progressives, socialist, communist, fucksticks. And what he says is, you know, hey, this kid should be caged and abused by pedophiles sexually. Isn't that a little bit of what's going on there with Harvey Weinstein? Right? Liberal movie producer out of Hollywood. Celebrity. right? In some trouble. He's been arrested. I don't know if it's for sexual assault of minors, but it's certainly for breaking the law with regard to other laws, right? Of the sexual persuasion. Basically, sex offense. Right? I guess if you're a sex offender, there's not a big line, according to Peter Fonda, between how okay it is to harangue women into bed, and I guess how wrong it is to harangue little boys into cages for pedophiles. But in addition to Harvey Weinstein, there is the whole Pizzagate conspiracy that's still there, never went away. Right? We're just waiting for the arrests, and we may wait forever, and I don't want to. Right? But it's come out. There are politicians that have done press releases about human trafficking, which is code for sex slaves and underage children. The President of the United States has signed executive orders addressing this very topic. The Russian President, Vladimir Putin, has made similar statements and taken similar action. Right? There's a battle here between dark and light, good and evil. And it's not that Republicans are the brightest candles and sharpest knives in the drawer, but certainly, right, they don't represent a percentage of people that think it's okay, right, to be the lowest of lows, the way the Democrats do. Right? There's not some, Denny Hastert aside and other fucked up Republicans that are fucked up. And I bet there's a bunch of them out there. You don't hear mainstream Republicans going, yeah, you tell them. That's a great idea. Right? Mainstream Republicans are disgusted by it. But Democrats seem to go, oh, it's fine, it's fine. Now, case in point, ex-President Bill Clinton. Accused over and over and over of sexual assault, sexual misconduct, sexual harassment. And where did the left fall on that? Did they defend the poor victimized women? No, they made fun of the victimized women. They did. They made fun of the victimized women. And the joke, one of them was, well, if you drag a $20 bill through a trailer park, you'll end up with someone chasing it who looks like Paula Jones. Right? Hillary Clinton, the biggest feminist on the planet, wouldn't protect women, not when it comes to politics and protecting their own. So when Peter Fonda says that Barron Trump should be kidnapped, thrown in a cage, and given to pedophiles, he pretty much means it, because they've shown on the left that not only do they have way off target political leadership when it comes to the moral compass, but their followers are not far behind, and sometimes their followers, much like Peter Fonda, appear to be leaders. And so when I talk about communists and their mentality and their lack of moral, just moral fundamental fibers in their body that say, you don't say shit like that. I mean, if you got a problem with Trump, say it, Peter. You got a problem with him, say it. Leave his kid out of it. What a bunch of pussies. But this is the mentality we have. Now let's take a look at other Democrats that are radical and violent, like Antifa. If you stand down to them and act like a pacifist, they will physically assault you. Right? If you are non-aggressive, they'll see that as an opportunity to show you how aggressive they can be. If you stand up to them, you can get hit in the head with a padlock on the end of a cable. The way that liberal professor, that's somebody with a pretty big degree at a college, thumped a guy at Berkeley, smashed his skull, cut him open. Right? Why? Because they don't like our politics. We're in a very nasty situation right now with regard to international diplomacy, trade. We're in a precarious place when it comes to our monetary stability, our economic stability, our financial stability. So everyone's under a great deal of pressure. They don't even know it, though, most of these people. Preppers know it, economists know it, And the communists, they know it. They're waiting for something to tumble and fall so they can step forward and say, see, capitalism failed. But we don't have capitalism. We have something called crony capitalism. It's also called fascism. But the communists, right, they're waiting for an opportunity to pounce. And they will cause shit to hit the fan. As sure as Peter Fonda would love to see Barron locked up in a cage, right, communists would love to see, right, shit hit the fan. They would love to be the cause of it. Because they want to come out of their glorious revolution in charge with their rules, right, or your head. So the conversation I'm having here is about this idea that we're all going to get along and shit hits the fan needs to be swept from the table. This idea that it's going to be not so bad needs to be swept off the table. You can see how radical the thinking is of people on the left when they don't get their way, when they're scared. See, what is Peter Fonda scared of? That now Melania Trump is let the Secret Service know that she's very concerned and takes it as a real threat, and rightly she should, right? Because of the vast numbers of pedophiles out there that are scared to death. And Peter Fonda uses the word pedophiles as a threat to Barron Trump. See, they are threatened right now, and they would rather get in a fight on the street. They would rather cause chaos and mischief and mayhem than for all of them and their buddies to be arrested. You know, I've listened to the interview where Quentin Tarantino defended Roman Polanski's actions, which was to have anal sex with a minor, I believe a girl who was under the age of 15. And then he got in trouble, or knew he was in trouble, and left and fled America, and hasn't come back since. You know, good director or not, it sounds a little bit wrong, doesn't it? But like I said, Tarantino defended him in an interview. If you want, look it up on YouTube. I don't plan on giving you the links to it. It's just rather disgusting. But these people know they're in trouble. And that is why they are after Trump. That is why they are threatening him in the very manner, right, in which they are on the run from. Right? They want his boy in a cage, being sexually abused by homosexual perverts of the worst sort. What's that say about the left? I don't, so far, have not heard anyone like Hillary Clinton condemning that statement. You know, she wants to make hay, if she wants to make points, stand up and condemn Peter Fonda as a creep. Right? Distance themselves from him. Hey, that guy, he's way out of line, huh? No, you're not going to hear that. Because they all secretly want that. They are a sick bunch of fucks. Now, that's today. When shit starts to hit the fan, who do you think is going to come unhinged? All of you crazy, radical, alternative, right-wing prepper types, are you going to come unhinged? Fuck no. We're the calmest of the bunch. We're expecting it. We're prepared for it. We're ready for it. They're the ones that are going to panic. As we've discussed in the past, they're the ones who are unprepared, who are fearful, who are uncertain and scared. They have no idea what's coming. Not for real. Even the liberal preppers, right? They want to make sure they have vegan preps. Right? They're, you know, even they're off their fucking rocker. But the standard run-of-the-mill, I'm going to buy one meal at a time at the grocery store, right? I'm going to live week to week on my paycheck, and if I get in any trouble, I'm going to go apply for welfare. It is that mentality, those types of people, that are going to flip their lids when shit hits the fan. They're flipping it now before by saying stupid shit, like Peter Fonda says. Right? They're going to flip their lid when shit hits the fan. Because all of a sudden, their world, and believe me, of all the make-believe worlds that we're trying to live under at one time, The Democrat one, the entitlement-minded socialist mentality, that one goes away the fastest and the hardest. See, there's Republicans or conservative people out there who aren't thinking about shit hitting the fan, but as soon as it happens, they're going to go, well, geez, Margaret, I guess we're responsible for ourselves, eh? Let's just go see what we can find in the pantry and see if we can hold down the fort for a week. Right? They're going to be somewhat realistic. Democrats are going to run down the street screaming like little girls with their hair on fire. Right? Little college girls just running, screaming. Right? That's what they're going to do. They're going to blame everyone else, including you. Right? And it's going to be mayhem. Absolute mayhem. Kind of like that guy in the insurance commercial. We need to be aware of that. I expect people who are intelligent to be on their best behavior. I expect people who are intelligent to do their very best to deal with a bad situation. I expect Democrats and liberals and entitlement-minded people to lose their fucking minds. They're going to be the instigators of trouble when shit hits the fan, the same exact way they're instigators of trouble today. Whether we're talking about Occupy Wall Street or Black Lives Matter, it does not matter what we're talking about. Every ridiculous, stupid march out there where there's somebody setting something on fire, destroying police cars, and assaulting people, and destroying public and private property, like the little Antifa guys. I expect riotous groups of thugs to be running down streets when shit hits the fan. So my advice is be ready for that. Know your 10-mile radius, right? Know what's in it. Because that's what you're going to have to deal with. For some of us, we don't have very much of that. For others, you got a whole lot more than I do. Right? But even in my area, which is heavily conservative, it's still like 30% Democrat, and they're fucking lunatics. You should hear the shit I gotta listen to. Actually, I put myself in a position to hear it. These people are unabashedly without morals. Moral compunction, moral direction, nothing. The only thing that is stopping them is a criminal deterrent, right? They could go to jail if they do the things they want. When things start to go south, right? Like, let's just say there's a shit it's the fan event occurs. People in that area, right? Conservative people are going to say, well, hey, Margaret, time to batten down the hatches, right? Circle the wagons. The Democrats are going to look at that as a signal, a sign, a key. Well, because shit has hit the fan here to whatever degree, that means we can run around like hoodlums. Right? There's going to be not enough law enforcement to deal with all of our bullshit. Let's riot and loot. Hello, Watts, Compton, right? That place has gone up a few times. All they need is the excuse. If the injustice or the excuse was the injustice of Rodney King being beaten, I understand the injustice of that. It doesn't mean you get to rob stores and beat the fuck out of people. I'm still pissed, in fact, about the white truck driver who was pulled from the cab of his semi down in that area and nearly murdered with a brick, having his head smashed open. Why? Because some entitlement-minded asshole, right, a liberal in other words, felt it was justified to take extreme action and lash out and blame everybody except themselves for what was going on. Once again, but let's jump all the way back to Peter Fonda, if you don't mind. Peter Fonda is a sterling example of the elitist mentality that's out there. So he has a name that we recognize. But in this 10-mile circle you live in, how many elitist mentality liberals do you know that could cause very bad trouble? Right? I only know of a few of these people in my area. Right? But I'm sure there are more. They're known amongst themselves, in other words. The only reason that we know Peter Fonda as anybody is because he's been an actor in some movies. He's been an actor. There are radical leaders within the left in your local communities, even in a conservative community. And I really expect nothing but trouble from these people. Now, if shit had hit the fan under the Obama administration, they would have a little bit of a different feeling, like, well, Obama tried stopping this. Gosh darn it, Barry Soetoro did his best, and we're going to be assholes and liberals about it, and go door to door and demand everyone's food. But with Trump in the office, these people aren't going to say he did his best. They're going to say it's all his fault. They're going to use that as justification to go after you. Right? Anybody that doesn't come out of their house waving the hammer and sickle on a red field. Right? It's not going to happen. These people are going to lose their fucking minds. You need to be prepared. I always say, hey, have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, which means a gun. I put that last because I don't want to sound like I'm pushing violent, radical, blah, 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 whatever. That's a bunch of bullshit, but it is critical to have. You cannot be without self-defense. And as this summer gets hotter, I'm expecting more of this type of shit. What if Peter Fonda gets arrested? What do you think the liberals are going to say then? Who do you think they're going to insult next? Do you think they're going to let up? Those are all legitimate questions. I think they're going to freak out. I think they'll be more scared. They'll become more accusatory of the president and the administration of being radical and nonsensical as far as they're concerned. That's just going to cause them to lash out at other, you guessed it, other rational conservative folks. And when they get a chance, right, they're the ones who, when shit hits the fan, are going to be out for revenge. There's going to be some sleepless nights when that starts. There's going to be some sleepless days, too. And that's why it's important to have not only a means of self-defense, but a plan to defend yourself. How are you going to do it? Right? How are you going to protect your house or your neighborhood? You know, how are you going to be able to stop? What groups are out there in a 10-mile radius that could come and affect your place? Right? Is it going to be different if everything appears normal, that is the first couple of days? How's it going to happen when they have no gas and they can't drive to your neighborhood? Right? Are there going to be neighborhood defense networks set up? Kind of like a pre or early shit-it's-the-fan attempt to maintain law and order. How will you participate in that? Will you participate in that? Right? Will you join a local militia group that has sworn to protect other people's lives, property, freedom from these bands of roving, raving lunatics? Because that's what I see them as. The only thing they haven't been done is given marching orders. Not this year, not yet. But they will band right up, these little communist freaks. I see them everywhere. I see them. They have their tattoos. They have their little hand signals. They're just like any other gangster. They have an attitude. They're within a certain age group. Is that profiling? Is that wrong of me? I don't think so. I'm not a cop, and I'm not a government agent. And I have a right to life, too. So I'm watching who these people are, as much as everyone else should be. Because it's becoming self-evident that as we get closer to shitting the fan, right, we're seeing the fabric of our culture, our society, our political system, the fabric is coming apart at the seams. Peter Fonda is just a sterling example of the stupidity, the arrogance, the judgmentalism that comes from the worst elements within our culture and our society. Right? And he's probably not the worst. He's probably just all talk because he's a celebrity. That's what they do. They talk. Right? I don't know. Maybe Peter Fonda has beat the shit out of somebody. Maybe he has murdered somebody. Maybe Peter Fonda has kidnapped a boy and put him in a cage and then subjected him to pedophile torture. Maybe Peter Fonda's done that, and that's why he's aware of that as an option and offers it as a resolution for their anger. You know. So, speaking of resolution, be it resolved. Make a resolution to yourself and your family that you're not going to let something like this happen without taking note of it, taking the appropriate mental steps to be prepared. These people are fucked up in the head, and not just a little bit. They are off of their rockers, right? And they only have one oar in the water, which means they're paddling in circles. So do your best, get ready. Thank you for watching. The economy is something interesting right now. I'm not wanting to jump on that bandwagon. I'm going to let that fucking song play out some more. I'm interested to see where it's going. It doesn't look like it's going a good place. But I want to talk about the other stuff that you will see. You see, the economy going bad is going to cause shit to hit the fan. Today we talked about what's going to happen when shit hits the fan. That's going to be more critical to you and me. We can't stop what's going on in D.C., but we can be aware of it. Same with New York and Wall Street. But people like Peter Fonda, every neighborhood has a Peter Fonda in it. His name just isn't Peter Fonda. That's the only difference. When shit hits the fan, they're going to be doing awful shit. Awful shit. Just like Peter recommended or suggested. There's going to be sick fucks out there that do things like that to other human beings. What you do about it is up to you. If you choose to abide by it, if it's in the realm of your skill and area, right? The realm of your reach, that 10-mile radius. If you hear of something like that, what are you going to do? It's a tough question, man, with tougher answers. It's for you to think about. It's for you to think about. So, put your comments down below. Thank you for participating. Thank you for supporting the Prepared Mind here at Patreon. It is not a good scene out there, folks. I'm not liking it at all. We're in summer and it's go time. So get ready, right? Chance favors the Prepared Mind is yours. Godspeed to all. Semper Fi.